As you've figured out by now, sometimes you can get awfully busy and distracted when you are flying instruments. In fact, you can get so distracted you look up at the panel and it simply doesn't make sense. You know the feeling. It's the, hey, what's going on here feeling. The odds are that you've entered what is known as an unusual attitude. Besides simple distraction, you can get in an unusual attitude from turbulence, say from a thunderstorm, from wake turbulence, from a gyro failure that catches you by surprise, from vertigo, or just from plain simple confusion, a problem I commonly have. Whatever the cause, an unusual attitude really is an emergency, even if in most cases it's a self-induced emergency. And it happens to everybody. In fact, it happens so often that learning to recover from an unusual attitude is a standard part of instrument training. There are basically two types of unusual attitudes: nose high and nose low. In a nose up unusual attitude, the biggest risk is a stall. So you want to add power immediately while simultaneously getting the nose down and leveling those wings. You recognize a nose-high attitude by decreasing airspeed and increasing altitude unless the speed is so low that you are beginning to sink because of the increased drag. If the attitude indicator hasn't exceeded its limits and tumbled, it will give you a further indication that you are, in fact, nose-high. But if the attitude indicator gives conflicting information compared to the other instruments, ignore it, since it may have tumbled, just like this one. Looks like toast to me. If the attitude indicator is still functioning, there is no reason that you can't use it to bring the nose down and level those wings. But if it has tumbled, you'll have to rely on the turn coordinator to level the wings. Also, the heading indicator can help, because when the wings are level, the turn will stop. For pitch control, you have to use the airspeed indicator, the altimeter, and the VSI. When the nose reaches level attitude on the way down, the airspeed indicator will stop decreasing. If you had been still climbing when you started the recovery, the altimeter will now stop increasing also, and the VSI will reverse its trend. Its direction of movement will go from up to down. Now, it may still show a climb due to the lag, but now it will start showing less of a climb. All of these things are a good sign that you should stop pitching down, since you don't want to enter a nose-down unusual attitude. As you can see, there's a lot going on during an unusual attitude, and that means you should deliberately increase the speed of your scan. In a nose-low unusual attitude, the biggest risk is overstressing the airframe due to excessive speed and G-forces. You recognize a nose-low attitude by increasing airspeed and decreasing altitude. Once again, if the attitude indicator hasn't tumbled and is indicating properly, it will show a nose-down attitude. But if the attitude indicator disagrees with the other instruments, ignore it, because it may have tumbled. To recover from a nose-low unusual attitude, immediately throttle back to idle. Then level the wings to lessen the load factor on the wings. Then carefully raise the nose to a level flight attitude. As before, if the attitude indicator is still functioning, there's no reason you can't use it to level the wings and bring the nose up. But if it has tumbled, you'll have to rely on the turn coordinator supported by the heading indicator to level those wings. For pitch control with a tumbled attitude indicator, you will have to use the airspeed indicator, the altimeter, and the VSI. When the nose reaches level attitude on the way up, the airspeed will stop increasing. The altimeter will stop showing an altitude loss, and the VSI will reverse its direction from down to up. Once again, it may show a little bit of a descent due to a lag, but it will begin to show less of a descent. If you're having a really bad day and get into an unusual attitude while you're flying needle ball and airspeed, you won't have either an attitude indicator or a heading indicator to help you recover. You'll have to do it all with only the turn coordinator, the airspeed indicator, your altimeter, and your VSI. Now, there are 2 good instrument flying habits that will keep you out of unusual attitudes. And as you know, the best defense is a good offense. So first, keep the airplane in trim. If you're constantly holding control pressures, a distraction or an interruption can easily lead to an unusual attitude. I can't stress how important that is. I really concentrated on that when I was getting my instrument rating. Second, keep your cockpit organized. Having to hunt for charts, flight logs, computers, etc., especially if you're having to hunt around on the floor, can really distract from your instrument scan and detract from your efficiency. So keep your scan moving and follow these 2 good habits, and the chances are unusual attitudes will be just a training exercise for you.